What if everything that makes you human, your thoughts, your emotions, your ability to dream about tomorrow or wonder about the stars, began because a small group of curious primates climbed down from the trees millions of years ago? It sounds almost impossible. Yet every heartbeat, every conversation, and every invention can be traced back through an astonishing chain of survival that stretches deep into Earth's past. But if humans evolved from earlier primates, why are we so different from every other animal alive today? And what happened during those millions of years that transformed ordinary ape-like ancestors into modern Homo sapiens? This question matters because it is really a question about ourselves. Every scar on our bodies, every fear we feel, and even the way we cooperate with strangers carries echoes of ancient environments that no longer exist. Evolution is often imagined as a straight ladder leading upward toward perfection. But nature does not work that way. There was never a grand plan or final destination. Instead, countless small changes accumulated across millions of years, shaped only by survival and reproduction. The story of human evolution is not the story of becoming better. It is the story of adapting to an ever-changing world. The journey begins more than 60 million years ago, after the extinction of the dinosaurs. With giant reptiles gone, mammals spread into habitats that had once been too dangerous to explore. Among them were tiny creatures that lived in the trees. These early primates developed eyes that faced forward instead of sideways, giving them better depth perception. Their hands became more flexible, allowing them to grip branches instead of relying only on claws. At first, these changes seemed small, but they would eventually become the foundation for everything humans would later accomplish. Millions of years passed, and Earth's climate continued to change. Thick forests expanded and shrank over and over again. Some primates remained perfectly suited for life in the trees, but others faced a growing challenge. Forests in parts of Africa began breaking apart into patches separated by open grasslands. Suddenly, food was harder to reach, predators were easier to spot, and survival demanded new solutions. Instead of following a familiar path, evolution began experimenting. One of those experiments was walking on two legs. At first, it may not have looked impressive. Early upright walkers were slow and awkward compared with today's humans. Yet standing upright offered surprising advantages. It freed the hands to carry food, infants, or simple tools. It also raised the eyes above tall grasses, making it easier to watch for danger. Scientists believe walking upright also helped early ancestors travel long distances while staying cooler under the hot African sun. What seemed like an awkward way to move slowly became one of evolution's most important turning points. Among these early walkers was Australopithecus, a group of hominins that lived between about 4 and 2 million years ago. One famous fossil, nicknamed Lucy, showed that upright walking had already evolved long before large human brains appeared. This discovery surprised scientists because many once believed intelligence came first. Instead, the fossil record revealed almost the opposite. Our ancestors learned to walk efficiently millions of years before they became especially clever. Evolution was building the human body one step at a time. But something unexpected happened around 2.5 million years ago. Climate swings became even more dramatic. Food sources changed with the seasons, and survival became increasingly unpredictable. These harsh conditions may have rewarded individuals who could solve problems, remember useful locations, and cooperate with others. Around this time, the first members of the genus Homo appeared. Their brains were growing larger, but their biggest advantage may not have been raw intelligence alone. It was flexibility. One of the earliest known members of this group, Homo habilis, is often linked to the oldest widely accepted stone tools. These simple tools looked unimpressive, just rocks chipped to create sharp edges. Yet they opened entirely new possibilities. A sharp stone could cut meat from animal bones, slice plants more efficiently, or crack open food that had once been impossible to reach. Suddenly, early humans could access far more calories than before. Those extra nutrients may have helped fuel the growth of even larger brains, creating a powerful cycle of innovation and survival. However, larger brains came with a serious cost. Brain tissue uses enormous amounts of energy. For an animal to support a bigger brain, it needed better nutrition and more efficient ways of finding food. This challenge may explain why cooperation became increasingly important. Hunting, sharing resources, and protecting one another were often more successful than surviving alone. In many ways, human intelligence evolved alongside human teamwork. Then another remarkable species appeared, Homo erectus. This ancestor looked far more like modern humans than earlier hominins did. Homo erectus had longer legs, shorter arms, and bodies built for traveling great distances. Instead of remaining in Africa, these early humans became explorers. They spread into Asia and Europe, adapting to environments that varied from tropical forests to colder regions. It was the first time human ancestors expanded across much of the Old World, proving that flexibility had become one of their greatest strengths. Scientists also believe Homo erectus mastered one of nature's most powerful forces: fire. Exactly when fire became regularly controlled remains debated, but evidence suggests it happened hundreds of thousands of years ago. Fire transformed daily life. It provided warmth during cold nights, frightened away predators, and allowed food to be cooked. Cooking softened tough plants and meat, making nutrients easier to digest. Some researchers even suggest that cooked food freed energy that could support further brain growth. A simple campfire may have changed human evolution forever. Yet evolution was never a smooth climb upward. Human history resembles a branching tree far more than a straight line. Over hundreds of thousands of years, many different human species lived at the same time. Some disappeared without leaving descendants. Others thrived for long periods before eventually vanishing. Earth was once home not only to our own species but also to Neanderthals, Denisovans, Homo floresiensis, Homo naledi, and several other human relatives. We were never alone. This discovery completely changed how scientists viewed our past. For decades, people imagined one species replacing another in a neat sequence. Instead, the fossil record revealed overlapping populations that sometimes shared the same landscapes. Different human groups evolved unique adaptations to different environments. Some were powerfully built for colder climates, while others developed traits suited for warmer regions. Evolution was running many experiments at once. Perhaps the greatest surprise came when scientists unlocked ancient DNA. For years, Neanderthals were often portrayed as primitive creatures with little connection to modern humans. But genetic evidence revealed something astonishing. Homo sapiens and Neanderthals did not simply meet, they had children together. Today, many people outside Africa still carry a small percentage of Neanderthal DNA. Other populations inherited genes from Denisovans, another mysterious group known mostly from a few bones and teeth. These ancient encounters still influence traits found in living people today, including parts of our immune system and even how some populations adapt to high-altitude environments. So when did our own species appear? Fossils suggest that Homo sapiens emerged in Africa roughly 300,000 years ago. At first, these early humans were not dramatically different from other human species. Their bodies looked familiar, but the world they lived in remained dangerous and unpredictable. They still faced powerful predators, shifting climates, and fierce competition. Survival was far from guaranteed. Then something happened that researchers are still trying to fully understand. Around 100,000 to 50,000 years ago, human behavior began changing in remarkable ways. More sophisticated tools appeared. Art became more common. People decorated objects with pigments and carved symbolic designs. Burials suggest growing emotional and cultural complexity. Long-distance trade networks connected distant communities. Language may have become more advanced, allowing knowledge to pass between generations with incredible precision. Instead of each person learning everything alone, information could accumulate over time. This ability to build on previous knowledge became humanity's secret weapon. A single person cannot invent agriculture, mathematics, or spacecraft in one lifetime. But thousands of generations sharing ideas can achieve extraordinary things. Human evolution gradually shifted from being driven mostly by biology to being shaped increasingly by culture. Skills no longer depended only on genes. They could be taught, improved, and passed forward. Around 70,000 years ago, Groups of Homo sapiens began expanding beyond Africa in waves. They entered unfamiliar lands filled with strange animals and different climates. Some crossed deserts. Others followed coastlines or moved through icy landscapes. Over thousands of years, humans reached Australia, Europe, Asia, and eventually the Americas. Along the way, they adapted not only through natural selection but also through creativity. Instead of waiting for evolution to change their bodies, they changed their environments by making clothing, shelters, boats, and better tools. Even so, evolution never stopped. Many people think humans somehow escaped natural selection once civilization appeared. That is not true. Evolution continues today, although often more slowly and in different ways. Traits related to disease resistance, digestion, altitude adaptation, and countless other biological features have continued changing in different populations. The forces shaping life are still operating, even in a world filled with technology. Perhaps the biggest misconception about evolution is that humans are its final goal. We are not. Evolution has no finish line. Chimpanzees are not less evolved than humans. Every living species has survived the same billions of years of evolution. Each has adapted to its own unique challenges. Humans simply followed one successful path among many possible paths that life explored. That realization changes how we see ourselves. Our intelligence was not inevitable. Countless events could have unfolded differently. Climate shifts, volcanic eruptions, diseases, asteroid impacts, and simple chance all influenced who survived and who disappeared. If just a few moments in history had changed, another human species, or perhaps none at all, might be asking these questions instead. The story of human evolution is therefore much bigger than the story of bones and fossils. It is the story of persistence through impossible odds. Every ancestor who escaped a predator, found food during a drought, protected a child, or discovered a better way to survive contributed to the chain that eventually led to us. We are living evidence of millions of years of adaptation, cooperation, and curiosity. So how did humans evolve from early primates into modern Homo sapiens? Not through a single breakthrough, but through countless tiny changes shaped by natural selection, environmental challenges, and unexpected opportunities over millions of years. Walking upright, using tools, mastering fire, growing larger brains, developing language, building culture, and cooperating with one another all became pieces of the same extraordinary puzzle. The most remarkable part of this journey is not that evolution produced humans. It is that a species capable of wondering where it came from can now uncover the story written inside its own bones, its DNA, and the ancient rocks beneath its feet, and that story is still being discovered.